There are times when the Spirit of our God moves in the soul and tries to get through to us. And it can be a question even of salvation. In the case of the lost soul, whose letter we have in the Hill manuscript, we see that there were two eternities involved at one point. She heard this: I heard myself being called by name. An unknown voice was saying to me, what will happen if your father dies? I no longer loved my father since he had started treating my mother so horribly. For that matter, I no longer loved anyone at all by then. All I had was a certain affection for some people who were kind to me. Love, without any hope of return in earthly form, exists only in souls in a state of grace, and I wasn't in such a state. I replied to the mysterious question without knowing where it came from. But he isn't dying. After a brief pause, the same question was once again clearly perceived. The same answer. But he isn't dying, broke out abruptly from my mouth again. For the third time, the voice asked me, what will happen if your father dies? It came to my mind how my father often came home in a drunken state, stormed out violence, and maltreated my mother, and how he had placed us in a humiliating condition in front of those around us. Ill-disposed, I cried. I couldn't care less. Then everything was quiet again. In the course of the morning, when my mother wanted to tidy up my father's bedroom, she found the door bolted. About midday, we forced it open. My father's corpse, half dressed, was lying on the bed. Now, it seems that despite everything, he had been kind to his daughter, and it seems that his eternal salvation at that point was hanging in the balance, depending on the response of that daughter to the solicitation of divine grace. Later on, that same daughter, now married a year, was in the car, and it was a Sunday morning, and she heard this pleading, you could perhaps go to Mass one more time, and she pushed it away. And she pushed it away with energy, somehow realizing what she was doing, for she was switching off. And that day she went into eternity in that terrible accident. In both cases, a good confession could have sorted out eternity. One day, as sacristan, I was cleaning up an old confessional that we had. And it occurred to me the power of that box. Indeed, we were talking to Don Celestino in a nearby parish, and he had, when renewing the church, maintained the old confession box, for he said it had heard all the sins. There is something quaint about an old confession box. Many perhaps owe their salvation to the grace that passed therein. And so I sat and wrote these words. How many sins have crossed this little grill that stands aloft alone, 'tween heaven and hell. How oft was blood that on this cross lies still, shed on a gaping chasm ere a knell o'er blasted aeons rang. How oft did he through these weak pores soft pass and cancel all that could the demons sate in damned glee at what was not revoked in moments small. Great elegance is not in this wee box that holds the skies at large, yet charged is this, each splinter and each crack, and all hell rocks with irritation strong at swindled bliss that had no right to be, that should not be, for such dry rot dries not. Eternity